module was designed really with universities in mind, where an administrator can give like department heads or budget heads access to a real-time parallel website that only contains the individual fund information that they want them to have available to those users. So it's a read-only, controlled access type of environment. Sort of the whole purpose of that module was to, cut down on phone calls to the business office from like a department head or budget head inquiring about certain things. Those people can now be given their own access. They can log into that real-time parallel website, and they can, pull up that information themselves. So the way this would work, an administrator in the business office using Fundriver, they would go in here under support settings and select department users. And this is where they would set up these, in this example I'm showing you, like a department head with a username and a password, and control their access to what they're going to be able to see. So just to save myself time here, I went ahead and set myself up as a department head. So, this person has a username, typically their email address. Once the person has been set up as a user, the administrator now has to assign them access to a fund or funds, that are being tracked in Fundriver. And you can do that one of a couple different ways. There's some user-defined fields in our fund profile page. Here they're labeled department, fund type, and campus. So you can assign funds that way, and you can also assign funds individually. So in this example, let's say that I want to assign this department user access to every single fund that falls under the Arts and Science department. So I would select Arts and Science here, drop it over here. Every single fund that falls under the Arts and Science department here in Fundriver would be available for viewing by this user. If we go over here to access settings, let me go ahead and update this. If we go over here to access settings, there's a couple things. As an administrator, you can have this real-time parallel website that these users are logging into. You can have it 4 strong passwords if you want to. You can put a contact person's name in here that they contact if they have any questions about anything they're seeing. You can put a login screen message that they see when they log in. And also, if you're storing any documents in Fundriver, you can also make those documents available to those users by the document category that the document resides in. And then if we go over here to reports, you can also make any of your standard reports available to these users. So if I want to give them access to, let's say, a donor report, I can do that. Or maybe I want to give them access to this investment pool transaction summary report. So you just put a check in, next to the report you want to give them access to. And then if you need to control the time period that these people are able to run reports, you can do that here by setting a starting and end date and control the time period that they're able to run that report for. Ultimately, these users are going to have a username, they're going to have a password, and they're going to have a link to this website that they go to. So these people would follow the link, input their username and their password here. This real-time parallel website, it's got our Fundriver logo on it, but it can have the client's logo on it. So it looks like, if I'm a department head, it just looks like I'm logging into the, my institution site. And again, this is where they would put their username and their password to log in. And when this person logs in, they have a default fund summary page, and this contains only the funds that this person has access to. So these were all of the funds that fell under the Arts and Science department. So if I select the ballet fund here, this is just like a fund profile page. This is very similar to what's in the client database for this individual fund's fund profile page. And as you can see here, it also contains the most current values. So this is, again, a real-time parallel website. So whatever values reflected in the client database is also reflected here in this database that the client logs into. And if you've given this person access to any documents, those documents will be made available down here. They can open those documents up and look at them. If we go to the reports option here, this will be a report menu option that will list out the individual reports that this person has been given access to. So if this person wanted to run a donor report, they can go in there and do that. And this is the same, like default donor or stewardship report that's in the main Fundriver application. So it's a duplicate report. And then also, if we take a look at this other report, this investment pool transaction summary report, this is like an endowment roll forward type report. The only difference is if this user runs this report, only the individual funds that they have access to would show up on it. Let's try this at a different date. As opposed to this report being run, in the main client database and every single named fund in the database being on it. So again, these were only the funds that were under that arts and science department. Just like in the main application, these department users, they can go up here and they can export these reports to PDF, Excel, or Word files. They can also, print directly from the application. So that's how that works. Again, the whole purpose of this department level access module is so you can give someone, read-only type access to only the funds that you want them to have access to, and they can get their own information and not have to call the business office and ask for it. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and conclude this session. If anybody has any questions about Fundriver or would like to request some additional information, if you go to our website at www.fundriver.com, there's a contact section here, and my phone number, email address is on this page. You can also send a request for information. So with that, we'll go ahead and end this. Thank you all for joining.